They laughed at his suit, mocked his resume, told him he would never lead because of where he came from, how he spoke, and the color of his skin. But what happened in that boardroom left the entire company stunned. One woman stood up. One decision changed everything. And the man they said would never make it. He is now running the largest tech company in America. This is not just a story of success. It's a story of belief, of heartbreak, of kindness that shattered every ceiling. And by the end, you will never look at a stranger the same way again. The cold morning air bit at his skin as he stepped off the city bus. His suit was clean, but cheap. His shoes were scuffed from too many miles walked, and his hands trembled slightly from nerves, or maybe the empty stomach. Jeremiah Brooks stood in front of the towering glass building, its reflection warping the skyline behind him. People in tailored suits moved past him without a glance, their badges already swinging from their necks, their voices crisp and confident. He adjusted his tie second-hand, a gift from his mother, and walked through the revolving doors. The marble lobby echoed with every step he took. Click! Click! Each sound reminded him he did not belong here. The receptionist looked up, her eyes scanning his clothes before forcing a smile. "Can I help you?" Jeremiah cleared his throat. "I have an interview with Mr. Caldwell. 10 o'clock. She raised a brow. "Wait here." He sat on the stiff leather couch, his knees bouncing. Behind the desk, a man in a navy blue blazer leaned toward the receptionist. He whispered, then laughed, then turned to Jeremiah and smirked. "Good luck, man. That's a tough room." Jeremiah forced a smile, pretending it did not sting. But it did. He had grown used to it. The glances, the doubts, the polite but loaded questions. "Where did you go to school? Do you have the right experience? Are you sure this is your field?" Growing up on the south side of Chicago, success was not expected of him. Survival was. His mother worked 2 jobs. His father disappeared when he was 9. He learned to fix computers in a neighbor's garage, and never stopped learning. At night, while others slept, he taught himself code from free library books and YouTube videos. Not because anyone told him to, but because he believed there had to be more. A door creaked open. "Mr. Brooks? We are ready for you." The boardroom was silent when he entered. 12 faces. All older. All white. All watching. Mr. Caldwell, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, looked over his resume like it was a joke. "You went to a community college?" "Yes, sir. And this company, the one you started in your basement, it was real." Jeremiah kept his voice steady. "Yes. It served over 500 small businesses in 3 years. I sold it to help pay for my mother's hospital bills." A few people shifted uncomfortably. One woman, near the end of the table, looked up from her notepad. Her eyes softened. Caldwell leaned back. "Son, this position requires leadership at the highest level. You have never been an executive. You do not have the pedigree." Jeremiah paused, then nodded. "I understand that is how it looks. But leadership is not always about pedigree. Sometimes it is about purpose. My team followed me because I listened. I worked alongside them. I made sure the janitor and the intern knew their ideas mattered." He swallowed. "I cannot offer an Ivy League name, but I can offer grit, heart, vision." Caldwell stared at him, then laughed. Loud. The others joined in, some nervously. The woman at the end did not laugh. She stared at Caldwell, then stood. "That is enough." The room went silent. She walked over to Jeremiah, extended her hand. "My name is Eleanor Myers. I am the new chairwoman of the board. I read about your company last night. I saw what you built, who you helped, and how you scaled without a single investor." She turned to Caldwell. "This interview is over." She looked back at Jeremiah. "Follow me." Jeremiah blinked, unsure if this was a cruel trick or a miracle. They rode the elevator to the top floor. Floor 4. The city stretched beneath them, endless and shimmering. Eleanor opened a door. A spacious office, still empty, sunlight pouring across a large mahogany desk. "This position is yours, Jeremiah, CEO. Effective immediately." He could not speak. His legs nearly gave out. Tears welled in his eyes, uninvited but unstoppable. Eleanor placed a hand on his shoulder. "You earned this." She smiled. "I once had a mentor who told me, hire the soul, not just the resume. You have soul, Jeremiah. He looked out the window, speechless. His mother's face flashed in his mind. Her tired eyes, her faith in him, her sacrifices. And suddenly, he could hear her voice. Do not let anyone tell you where you belong. You decide that. Now here he stood. The boy who used to fix computers in a garage. The man they told could never lead. Now leading the biggest tech company in America. Not because he fit the mold, but because he broke it. Because someone saw beyond his past and gave him a chance. Because kindness found its way into a cold boardroom and changed everything. Kindness can open doors that experience alone cannot. Hope can carry a soul farther than any degree. And belief in someone when no one else does can rewrite their entire future. So tell me, who are you willing to believe in today? Share their name in the comments. You never know how far one act of kindness might take them. Maybe it is your brother. Maybe it is the single mom next door. Or maybe it is you. Because sometimes the person who needs belief the most is staring right back at you in the mirror. Jeremiah stood in that office for a long time. He did not sit. He just breathed, took in the space, the silence, the smell of fresh leather and pine-scented polish. The city below looked smaller now, but the weight on his shoulders, it felt enormous. Because with the title came something more powerful than status. Responsibility. To the kids who looked like him, who came from nothing, who were told they could never lead. To his mother who gave up everything so he could dream. To every person who had ever been overlooked, dismissed, underestimated. This was not just his victory. It was theirs. His first order of business. He walked down to the lobby and met the janitor. An older man named Tony. Jeremiah smiled and shook his hand like he was meeting a world leader. You are the first person I wanted to meet. Tony laughed, confused. Why me? Jeremiah looked him in the eye. Because people like you built this place. And I want to build a company that sees you. He made a promise that day. Everyone would be seen. Everyone would be heard. No one would be left behind. The culture changed. Slowly at first. Then, like a wildfire, Jeremiah implemented mentorship programs for young coders from low-income neighborhoods. He funded scholarships. He hired people based on passion, not privilege. And when reporters asked about his leadership style, he gave them the same answer every time. I lead with empathy. Because someone once led me there first. Years passed. The company flourished. Profits soared. But so did its heart. People started calling it the company with a soul. And Jeremiah. He never forgot that cold morning. The whispers. The doubt. The kindness that shattered a ceiling. He returned to that same boardroom one day. Sat quietly in the chair where it all began. And whispered to himself. You belonged here the whole time. You just needed someone to say it out loud. So, if you are watching this right now, and you have ever been told you are not good enough, not qualified, not welcome, let Jeremiah's story live inside you. Let it burn. Let it rise. Because what they say about you is not the truth. What you say about you, now go build. Go lead. Go become the person they never saw coming. And when you do, remember to reach back. Lift someone with you. Because that is how we change the world. And the world is changing faster than ever. But it is not the machines. It is not the money. It is not the algorithms or the headlines. It is people. People like Jeremiah. People like you. People who dare to believe in others before they believe in themselves. The stories we tell shape the future we live in. And the most powerful stories are not always the loudest. Sometimes they begin in silence, in struggle, in someone standing outside a glass building, heart pounding, wondering if today is the day everything changes. Sometimes they begin in the smallest acts. A receptionist who chooses kindness over judgment. A woman at the end of the table who sees what others miss. A janitor who smiles back, not knowing he just inspired the new CEO. These are the moments that matter. The invisible hinges that swing open destiny's door. Jeremiah did not just become a CEO. He became a mirror for every child who had been told to dream smaller. He became a bridge for others to cross. And long after the news cycle moved on, after the stock prices rose, after the magazine covers faded, he kept building. Not just a company, but a movement. A movement rooted in the radical idea that empathy is not weakness. It is strategy. That compassion is not extra, it is essential. That leadership without love is just control. So wherever you are right now, whatever room you are walking into, whatever dream you have been carrying in secret, let this be your reminder. You belong. And if no one has ever said it to you before, let us be the first. You belong. You matter. And the world needs what only you can give. So go ahead, take the step, start the thing, apply, speak up, begin again. And when you get there, leave the door open behind you. Because someone else is waiting, just like Jeremiah once did. They are out there right now, sitting on a city bus, watching office buildings blur past the window, clutching a dream that feels too big for their circumstances, listening to voices, some outside, some within, telling them to give up. But then, they hear your story. They see you. And suddenly something shifts. Doubt softens into curiosity. Fear turns into a flicker of courage. They begin to wonder, what if there is room for me too? And that wonder, that single moment of belief, is where everything begins. Because inspiration is not about making people admire you. It is about reminding them of their own power, their own worth, their own ability to rise. That is what Jeremiah did. Not by pretending to be perfect, but by standing proudly in the truth of his journey, by letting the scars show, by leading with both head and heart. And now, it is your turn. You do not need a title. You do not need permission. You do not need to wait for someone to crown you worthy. Just start where you are. Lift someone near you. Call out their greatness. Share a meal. Speak a kind word. Offer a chance. Because every leader was once someone nobody believed in. Every success story started with one person choosing not to quit. And every act of kindness, it echoes farther than you will ever know. So, if this story moved you, share it. Not for the views, not for the likes, but because someone in your life might need this reminder. That they are seen, that they are capable, that the world is better because they are in it. And as for Jeremiah, he is still leading, still mentoring, still showing up with that same fire in his chest, because he knows he is not the exception. He is the proof. And now, so are you. And if you are still wondering when your moment will come, if you are waiting for the right time, the right resources, the right voice to speak for you, let this be the moment you stop waiting. Because you are the voice. You are the answer to someone else's silent prayer. You are the opportunity someone never thought they would get. And the world? It does not change all at once. It changes when one person decides to believe deeply, fiercely in themselves and in others. It changes when someone like Jeremiah, or someone like you, refuses to let rejection write the final chapter, refuses to let fear win, refuses to close the door behind them. You see, every time you rise, you give others permission to rise too. Every time you act with kindness, you remind others that compassion is strength. And every time you lead with love, the world shifts. Just a little, but enough to make room for someone else to rise. So here is your invitation. Not from a boardroom, not from a title, but from this story, from this truth. Go, build, shine, lift, believe. And when you feel doubt creeping in, remember this. You are not here by accident. You are here because the world needs what only you can bring. Now stand tall and start your story, because someone out there is already watching you. A little girl peeking through her cracked bedroom door, listening to how you speak about dreams. A young man wiping tables in a diner, wondering if anyone will ever see more in him than just an apron. An aging parent who never got the chance, but prays every night that you will. Your courage becomes their compass. Your story becomes their spark. And your yes to the impossible, to the unknown, to the uncomfortable might just become their miracle. So if the world tries to measure your worth by degrees, dollars, or doors you were never invited through, smile. Because they did the same to Jeremiah. They measured his clothes, his voice, his past. But they could not measure his heart. They never saw that the boy fixing computers in a broken neighborhood would one day lead innovation for the entire country. Because you cannot measure vision. You cannot predict resilience. You cannot contain someone who was born to rise, and neither can they contain you. So go ahead, be bold, take up space, Speak with your full voice. And when the room goes quiet, let it. Let your light fill it. Because your presence is not a favor. It is a force. You were not meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, to stand up, and to bring others with you. One story at a time. One act of kindness at a time. One life changed at a time. That is how legacies are born. Not in headlines, but in hearts. And yours is already beginning. And so Jeremiah's story does not end with a corner office. It does not end with headlines, applause, or even the legacy he is building. Because the truth is, his story is still unfolding. Every time he visits a school and tells kids their dreams are valid. Every time he hires someone others overlook. Every time he opens a door that once slammed in his own face. He continues writing a story that began in struggle but lives in hope. A story that belongs not just to him, but to all of us. Because what he proved, what he lived, is something we all need to remember. You do not need a perfect past to build a powerful future. You just need belief, a little courage, and someone who sees your worth before the world does. Jeremiah had that. Now he is that for others. And maybe, now, you will be too. So if this story touched something in your heart, if it reminded you of your own worth, or someone else's, share it. Let the ripple keep moving. Because the world needs more kindness, more courage, more stories like this one. And maybe, just maybe, the next one begins with you. Thank you for watching. And remember, you belong, right here, right now, and always.